Gilbert gets it sorted. Forward by Sabat Chadhat. In being asked to write this forward, I am made aware of two things. Firstly, that someone knows me, which is splendid news, as only a month ago last Tuesday I forgot who I was. And secondly, that one of my heads dropped off. When I find Gilbert, I must ask him his name. Until then, the following pages are a towering testament to the knowledge of this odd thing from out there. All the best, Barty. Yes? Sorry, did you want me? I'll knock it on the head, Bernard. I'm far too busy painting this halibut to tell you about anything at all, including halibuts, or how much fun it is to paint them, or what colour. I did what? I promised on my ancestor's hat to tell you why I ran up to you in the street the other day, screaming, "Scuttling bottle scoop! Chew my trousing straps! Scuttling bottle scoop!" in an excited manner. And then assured you that if you came around today at this very hour, I'd tell you why, and give you biscuits and cherry yoghurt. I did. I lace my fruitcake, Martin. I do get generous when I'm demented, don't I? All right. If I promised on my ancestor's hat, then I will. Hold this halibut, will you? Hey, how do you know my ancestor had a hat? Oh, never mind. It was on a day much like this one, only plumper, that... It was on a day much like this one, only plumper, as I was saying before you turned the page and disturbed my train of thought, that I sat in Alpaca's all-night get-plumper eatery, listening to Sam Trumpet and his performing sideboards as they embarked upon another medley of their hit. Alpaca's startled pumpkin meatloaf surprise sure was good, so I tucked into another skip load. What? The surprise part? Oh, well, I guess that was because there was no pumpkin in it at all. Pretty sneaky of old Al, eh? Anyway, another skip load never hurt anyone. Unless, of course, they ain't got a vat of envelope puree to wash it down. So, it was pretty much on the lucky side of midnight that I had got a vat of said elixir handy as I embarked on it. What now? Skip the skip and get on with the story? Yeah, all right then. I thought you were interested. Well, the meatloaf surprise was just beginning to slide easily down the gooey path to the everlasting stomach. Hey, I was in the middle of a mouthful! Which is a funny thing, because that was just what I exclaimed when a man who looked very much a large boot stepped out of my latest skipload of meatloaf surprise. Seriously. For a moment, in fact, I thought that was the surprise. Then the boot, resembling man, spoke. Hey, Gilbert, me old matey boy. I'm in trouble and I need your help in a very legal and binding sense. Of course, I didn't realise that was what he'd said, because there was a mite too much boot between him and me for me to hear him clearly enough. So I did the obvious thing, didn't I? I said, "Pardon, Tosh?" The laces loosened a little, and a tiny face poked out of the boot's ankle. "Sorry," said the face, and then repeated what he'd just said before. Sounded dangerous, challenging, demanding, and tough. Just the sort of thing that a down-on-his-luck private investigator roughing it in Alpaca's eatery couldn't afford to ignore. A big case, the kind that a guy won't turn down when he's been in the business as long as I had, which at that stage was about 40 minutes. Then there was a strange papery noise. It was a page turning. "OK, what's the problem, Nigel?" I asked when the page had quietened down. "And why are you dressed as a boot?" I didn't mean to be too personal, but, sometimes questions have to be asked. So I asked it. Sorry about the boot," exclaimed the man as he began to climb out. "Well, I got dressed in a hurry this morning and grabbed the boot that was too big by mistake. I tried wearing a couple of extra pairs of socks to pad it out. You know how these things are." I nodded grimly. I knew only too well how these things are. I knew these things from way back. We grew up together. I went to school with these things. I dated their sisters. These things could be, well, you know. By this stage, the man in the boot had become the man out of the boot. And boy, was I surprised. I was more surprised than the man who bit into a grape and found a family of rhinos had taken up living in it. And I tell you what, he was pretty surprised. I can tell you that. The unbooted man was none other than J. Edgar Edgar. What do you mean, who? J. Edgar Edgar, that's who. J and me went way back. He was an American geezer from America who back in the 50s had invented the world's first television powered entirely by eggs. He didn't catch on, so he modified his original designs and made himself a pair of golf slacks. They caught on a lot of things because they were so fabulously huge, girth-wise and bigly. They still were catching on things, actually. Barely had my old mucker debooted himself, but he caught a stray flare on the boot top and fell flat on his slacks. I scooped Jay up pretty fast in an urgent private eye-ish sort of way. "There's no time to talk," I didn't say to Jay, as there was no time to talk. "I've got to get you to the safety of my office. A Get Plumper all-night eatery is no place for a man in danger, and slacks." I didn't add, by way of explanation. J. Edgar Edgar didn't seem to catch much of this urgency, and even suggested we stay to join in the game of tick-tick pudding fish that some of the locals were beginning to play. Even the fact that Nautical Norman and the Fastbenders, that ramshackled hodgepodge collection of reckless hobbledehoys, was about to go on stage, couldn't make me stay. It was that urgent. Tick-tick pudding fish? You don't know how to play tick-tick pudding fish? Well, boil my potty. It's a hilarious parlour game that can be played by 2 or more people, depending on who they are. It had its origins in Hogwash, a small settlement on the borders of Bizarreshire. In the dark days before 50-50, long before Leonard, the townsfolk would form a circle on the epitome and gargle with hippos, small ones, and moan against the wind. After a while, someone from the circle would step into the centre and remove many of his heads to the thunderous apologies from his chums, who would all shout in unison, together and at the same time, "Tick, tick, pudding fish!" See? Easy, huh? Want a game? Oh, well, another time then. And it was another time then, too. So we didn't play it either. We ran, fast as one of Sam's Trumpet's sideboards would carry us, right back to my office.